Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadhari Jaya Giri Varadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadhari Jaya Giri Varadhari Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jai Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Gaur Bhakta ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming this morning for our daily Bhagavatam discussion. Today we will be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 19, Text 29. Savishnurato tithaya agataya Savishnurato tithaya agataya Tasmai saparyam shirasa jahara Tasmai saparyam shirasa jahara Tato nivritta hyabudha striyorbhaka Tato nivritta hyabudha striyorbhuka Mahasane sapo vivesha pujita Mahasane sopa vivesha pujita Mahasane sopa vivesha pujita Savishnudato tithaya agataya Tasmai saparyam shirasa jahara Tato nivritta yabuda striyorbhaka Mahasane sopa vivesha pujita. Saha hi Vishnurata Maharaj Parikshit, who is always protected by Lord Vishnu. Atithaya, to become a guest. Agataya, one who arrived there. Tasmai, unto him. Saparyam, with the whole body. Shirasa, with bowed head. Ajahara, offered obeisances. Tataha, thereafter. Nivritta, ceased. He, certainly. Abhuda, less intelligent. Striya, women. Arvaka, boys. Maha Ashane, exalted seat. Sa, he. Upavivesha, sat down. Pujita, being respected. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Maharaj Parikshit, who is also known as Vishnu Ratha, one who is always protected by Vishnu,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Something happened, Prabhu, network?
Yeah, I think Prabhu is back.
yes, I apologize. I don't know why my network is dropping today. I have full signal, but it's still dropping. So we'll try again. So once again, Maharaj Parikshit, who is known as Vishnu Ratha, one who was always protected by Vishnu, bowed his head to receive the chief guest, Shukadev Goswami. At that time, all the ignorant women and boys ceased following Srila Shukadev Goswami. Receiving respect from all, Shukadev Goswami took his exalted seat. Purport. On Shukadev Goswami's arrival at the meeting, everyone except Srila Vyasadeva, Narada, and a few others stood up. And Maharaj Parikshit, who was glad to receive can you hear me now?
Yes, Prabhu, we can hear you.
Yes. Okay. On Shukadev Goswami's arrival at the meeting, everyone except Srila Vyasadeva, Narada, and a few others stood up, and Maharaj Parikshit, who was glad to receive a great devotee of the Lord, bowed down before him with all the limbs of his body. Shukadev Goswami also exchanged the greetings and reception by embrace, shaking of hands, nodding and bowing down, especially before his father and Narada Muni. Thus he was offered the presidential seat at the meeting. When he was so received by the king and sages, the street boys and less intelligent women who followed him were struck with wonder and fear. So they retired from their frivolous activities, and everything was full of gravity and calm. Okay, I see. I didn't share my screen again. This is what happened. So I'll read this purport one more time. I apologize. On Shukadev Goswami's arrival at the meeting, everyone except Srila Vyasadeva, Narada, and a few others stood up. And Maharaj Parikshit, who was glad to receive a great devotee of the Lord, bowed down before him with all the limbs of his body. Shukadev Goswami also exchanged the greetings and reception by embrace, shaking of hands, nodding and bowing down, especially before his father and Narada Muni. Thus he was offered the presidential seat at the meeting. When he was so received by the king and sages, the street boys and less intelligent women who followed him were struck with wonder and fear. So they retired from their frivolous activities, and everything was full of gravity and calm. Om Gyanam Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. So here we see this very beautiful verse. And this verse is just describing the arrival of Shukadev Goswami. The arrival of Shukadev Goswami at the bank of the Ganges, where Maharaj Parikshit was situated. And this moment, an entire verse of the Bhagavatam is being is being dedicated to this moment, because the arrival of a great devotee is something that is very special. The arrival of a great devotee of the Lord, like we sing every morning, it is Sansara Dava Nalalid Haloka Tranaya Karunya Ghanaganatvam. In this world, we are all suffering from from the burning of materialistic life. We have so many anxieties, so many troubles, so many problems. I think all of us can relate with this. And then when the pure devotee comes, then they come like the rain cloud of mercy that comes and showers upon all the conditioned souls. It showers rain upon all the conditioned souls. So this is the quality of a great devotee of the Lord, that a great devotee of the Lord is like a rain cloud that gives rain and dissipates the fire of material existence. And all auspiciousness becomes manifest when that devotee is present. Just like many of us may have had the experience that we have so many questions, so many anxieties, so many difficulties, so many things in our mind. But then when we go in the presence of our spiritual master, or we go in the presence of a great devotee, then all of those worries go away. Like all of a sudden, we go there and we don't have a question. We don't have anything to ask them. All problems automatically go away simply by the presence of that devotee. And there's actually a verse in the Bhagavatam that says this. It describes this, how just by the presence of a devotee, just by wherever their feet go, the pure devotees of the Lord, automatically all of our anxieties, all of our troubles, they dissipate. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, you can. Okay. And so when we are when we're in so there's nothing more auspicious in this world than the arrival of a devotee. And we find that when Srila Prabhupada would arrive someplace, when he would come to some city, the devotees would be so happy. They would all go to the airport. They would do kirtan in the airport. They would jump up and down. They would glorify Srila Prabhupada. Some of the most beautiful, most amazing incidents in Prabhupada's pastimes were his airport receptions. And people were shocked. Who is this person for whom people are willing to do this? Devotees in the airport are in full dhoti and kurta while everyone else is in suit and tie. Generally, when we go to the airport, we hide our bead bag, right? And we're just like, we might rub off our tilak. No one should think I'm a terrorist. But when they went, they were in full robes. And then they would be doing kirtan. At those times in America, doing kirtan in the airport was allowed. And they would jump up and down. And then when Srila Prabhupada would come, then everyone would offer their full dandavats. And here we see Maharaj Parikshit, specifically it's being mentioned in the purport, that Maharaj Parikshit offered obeisances to Shukadev Goswami with every limb of his body. This means that when Shukadev Goswami came, he did not do half dandavat. He did the full dandavat, complete surrender. A great king, a great emperor like Maharaj Parikshit, the greatest man in the land, when he sees a saintly person, he offers full dandavats. So when Srila Prabhupada would come, then they would offer their full dandavats. And all these hundreds of American people, men and women, offering full dandavats. And when that would happen, then all the airport officials, everyone, they're shocked. This 5-foot old Indian man is coming with, of course, a very great radiance. They were also shocked by Prabhupada's presence, his aura. But all of these tall, white Americans, men and women, offering full obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. So the point being that when a great devotee comes, receiving that devotee is very, very important. Receiving them very nicely is very important. Now in ISKCON, we're sort of losing this spirit. Even I remember just 10 years ago, it was more common when some sannyasi or guru or great devotee would come to a city, many devotees would go to the airport and receive them. And it was very nice. It was like it was showing so much respect to that devotee, and all the other devotees would also feel so happy. And then they would come back and they would do like a festival, offer that devotee flowers and do kirtan. So many times I've seen in so many cities. One time I was on the Polish tour, and Janani Vas Prabhu came there, and similarly in Poland, all the devotees organized a very nice reception for him. Why? Because the most significant moment in the history of our life, not just this life, but in the course of many lifetimes, is the arrival of a devotee within our life. So how wonderful, how beautiful are the devotees of the Lord, because in so many births, this is the most significant moment, because it is due to this moment that our spiritual life begins, and we can go back to Godhead. And the point that is being illustrated in this verse is that how Maharaj Parikshit, although a very great king, although a very aristocratic person, very wealthy person, very powerful person, he also is offering obeisances and seeking the guidance and the shelter of Shukadeva Goswami. So no one is immune from this. No one can say that I'm a very important person, and therefore I cannot or should not offer respect to the great devotee of the Lord. In front of the sage, in front of the devotee of the Lord, everyone is younger, everyone is smaller. Shukadeva Goswami is only 16 years old, but his father is an old sage, Vyasadeva. Narad Muni is one of the oldest people in the universe. Parikshit Maharaj was also older than him in age. But Shukadeva Goswami is given the place of honor, and everyone is listening from him. Why? Because on account of his being a pure devotee of the Lord. At the same time, in this verse, it's being described how the relationships and the exchanges were all so developed and subtle. So Parikshit Maharaj, being, so to say, a king in the Kshatriya order, is offering full dandavats to Shukadeva Goswami because he wants to become his disciple and gain knowledge from him. But when he meets Narad Muni and Vyasadeva, then Srila Prabhupada says that greetings are exchanged by embrace, shaking of hands, nodding, and bowing down. So Shukadeva Goswami bows down before his father and Narad Muni. And Parikshit Maharaj bows down to Shukadeva Goswami. And others who are more on an equal level, they embrace Shukadeva Goswami. So one thing I heard directly from Mother Malati's mouth, who served Srila Prabhupada for many years, is she said that Srila Prabhupada was very subtle, very sensitive. That's the word I was looking for. Very sensitive in the way that he dealt with every person he met. Like he could understand where they're at, what is their position, and how to deal with them, how to connect with them very nicely. And therefore, everyone felt fully satisfied in their exchanges with Srila Prabhupada. Fully satisfied. She gave an example how Srila Prabhupada met the parent of a devotee. Someone had joined Krishna consciousness, and her mother had come, mother and father, they had come to meet Srila Prabhupada, naturally because they're very anxious and very disturbed. Why? Their child had joined Krishna consciousness. And when they came, then Srila Prabhupada told them that, oh, you have a very nice son. You are very fortunate. You are very exalted because you have produced a very nice son. And therefore, although your son is very nice and he has become a great devotee, you are also great devotees. You are also very spiritually advanced on account of having such a nice son. And in this way, he spoke with them so nicely. After that, when they left, the parents told the child, they said that we did not like you joining this Krishna consciousness, this ISKCON. But if you are serving this man, if you are following this man, referring to Srila Prabhupada, then we have no objection. Then we feel that you're in good hands. In that one moment, in those few minutes, Prabhupada had made such a deep and loving impression on them that after that, they knew that this person is pure, this person is perfect, and my son is in good hands. So this was the nature of a pure devotee, that they are very sensitive and they know how to relate with every person to in such a way that they are pleased and in the proper way. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 4th canto, the Bhagavatam describes that there are 3 types of association. This is described when Narad Muni meets Dhruva Maharaj. So Dhruva Maharaj has come to the forest. He's very, very disturbed. He's angry at being insulted by his stepmother. And when he meets Narad Muni, then Narad Muni says, "Why are you taking so much insult? Go back home." And then he gives him a process, a formula, by which he says, wherever you are, you can be happy. Wherever you are, you can live very easily. He says there's 3 types of association. For those who are more advanced, we should seek out their association and learn from them. We should submit ourselves to them and learn from them because they're more advanced than us. To those who are equally advanced, to them we should make friendship, and we should exchange Krishna Katha with them, make friendship with them, talk about Krishna with them. And for those who are less advanced, we should show them compassion and give them Krishna consciousness and give them mercy. So these 3 different categories of association are there. Either someone will be more advanced than us, and we will recognize that, and we should hear from them, serve them. If someone is equally advanced, we make friendship with them. And if someone is less advanced, we show compassion. And actually, we need all 3 types of association to be successful in Krishna consciousness. Because just like they say, a good student, right, they learn 25% they learn from their teachers. 25% the students learn from each other. When they do homework together, they discuss a topic together, they learn from one another. 25% they learn from teaching others. And then they say the last 25% they learn over the course of their life, through life's experiences. The world is also a teacher. So in the same way, in our Krishna consciousness, we need devotees who are equal to us so we can exchange, discuss things. We need that association as well. We can serve together with someone of our equal, like a brother. We need devotees who are less advanced so that we have an opportunity to share Krishna consciousness. By sharing, we become more spiritually enlivened. So we invite people to our home, we do programs like this. And most importantly, we need devotees who are more advanced than us so that they can speed up the process for us. They can pull us out of our ignorance and bring us to a higher, more transcendental level of spiritual perfection. And that association needs to be sought out very actively. We must need to find that association by all means. That association is very, very special. And in fact, one place it says how a person, if a person does not become joyful upon seeing an advanced devotee of the Lord, then that by itself is an offense to the lotus feet of the Lord. That when we see a great devotee has come, we should become naturally joyful. Because the Lord's mercy is coming. And if we're not feeling happy when the Lord's mercy is coming, then we are in some ways neglecting that mercy. Just like it is natural, right? When someone has made gulab jamuns, then everyone becomes very happy because we recognize that something very sweet, very wonderful, Krishna's prasad is coming to us. In the same way, if the Lord's mercy, this is the devotees of the Lord are are the boat by which we can cross this material world. If Krishna is sending the boat, imagine if we are drowning in the middle of the ocean and a boat comes, how happy we will be. And if Krishna is sending the boat and we are not feeling happy, then he'll take the boat back. If we don't feel happy when a boat comes and we're in the middle of the ocean, then this means we're very unfortunate, right? Very foolish. In the same way, if the devotee is coming, that devotee is coming to our town, our village, and we are being blessed by that association, if we don't feel happy and joyful, then that means that we are not valuing. We don't know the value of that association. We must seek out the devotee. We must try to associate with that devotee. We should never take that for granted. The value of the association of the devotee is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam again and again and again, that even an 11th of a second of an association with the great devotees of the Lord is so valuable. It is the most valuable gem, the most valuable jewel. There's this beautiful song by Narottam Das Thakur that I like a lot. Recently, we have been singing it a lot. I'm just going to share my screen very quickly. This is a song by Narottam Das Thakur. Ebara karuna koro Vaishnava Goshan Patita Pavana Toma Bineke Hona Jaharani Kate Gele Papa Durjan Emana Doyala Prabhu Kebakotha Pa Gangara Parasha Hoile Pashate Pava Darshane Pavitra Koro Tomaro Go Haristane Aparadhe Tare Harina Tomasthane Aparadhe Nahi Paritra Tomara Hridoye Sada Govinda Visham Govinda Kohina Mora Vaishnava Para Pratijanme Kori Asha Charani Radhuli Narotame Koro Doya Rapanara Boli. O Vaishnav Goswami, please be merciful to me now. There is no one except you who can purify the fallen souls. Where does anyone find such a merciful personality by whose mere audience all sins go far away? After bathing in the waters of the sacred Ganges many times, one becomes purified. But just by the sight of you, the fallen souls are purified. This is your great power. The holy name delivers one who has committed an offense to Lord Hari. But if one commits an offense to you, there's no means of deliverance. Your heart is always the resting place of Lord Govinda. Lord Govinda says, the Vaishnavas are in my heart. I desire the dust of your holy feet in every birth I may take. Please consider Narottam yours and be kind upon him. So a few sentences, phrases in this song very nicely connect with our verse today. And that first one is text number 3, which says that after bathing in the waters of the sacred Ganges many times, one becomes purified. but just by the sight of you, the fallen souls are purified. Just by the sight of you, the fallen souls are purified. This is your great power. So here Shukadeva Goswami is coming, and just by seeing him, everyone feels so much relief, so much happiness. His coming is the answer to their prayers. When Krishna is very, very happy with us, when he's very, very happy with us, then he sends the great devotees of the Lord. The great devotee is the answer to our prayers. Just like when the 80,000 sages were performing yagyas in Naimisharanya, then they had been performing it for 5,000 years, 1,000 years. They're performing this sacrifice, and their whole body became black with soot. And the result of this sacrifice was to find a solution to the ills of the age of Kali. Sages, being very soft-hearted, being very kind, were concerned about the very dark, horrible age of Kali that was about to come, that is full of quarrel and hypocrisy. And they wanted to find a path or a solution by which everyone could become liberated in this age, but a process by which people in this age could become liberated. And so the result of this sacrifice was going to be an answer on receiving a path to get their liberation. And so they performed the sacrifice, and right at the end of the sacrifice, Shaunaka Rishi, Shaunaka Rishi walks in. He arrives at the scene. And when he arrives at the scene, at the completion of their sacrifice, all the sages there could understand that Shaunaka Rishi was the answer to their austerities, was the fruit of this yajna, that Shaunaka Rishi had come as their answer to their question, how to help people in this age of Kali. In the same way, Maharaj Parikshit is on the bank of the Ganges, and he is in a very difficult, very desperate situation, that he is going to die in 7 days. And he does not know what to do. He's thinking, now I have 7 days to live. What am I supposed to do at this time? How can I perfect my life? And the arrival of Shukadeva Goswami is the answer to his prayers. When Shukadeva Goswami comes, he can understand that now Krishna has come to me in the form of this great sage, and he will solve my problems. He will solve and respond to my question. So just by their sight, one becomes purified. The Ganges, one has to bathe so many times to get purified. But just the moment's association, 1/11th of a second of association with the devotee, immediately purifies the soul. It elevates us. So we should definitely then seek out the devotee. We should choose that association over the holy place, over the pilgrimage. One place, Tamal Krishna Maharaj once said that simply by seeing certain devotees, he mentioned, one gets purified. They are still on this planet. He mentioned 3 devotees in particular, that just by seeing them, a person becomes purified. So this is actually a fact. And we should not think that, oh, this only applies to devotees who are like in the books of the Bhagavatam. No, even at the present time, at the present moment, even within our own devotee communities, we have devotees like this, that if we just see them, we get purified. And then the other one here is number 5. Your heart is always the resting place of Lord Govinda. Lord Govinda says, the Vaishnavas are in my heart. So why are these devotees so special? Because Krishna has made them their own, his own. Krishna has made the Vaishnava's body his own body. Therefore, if we commit an offense to the devotee, then Krishna it's Krishna's own body that we are committing an offense to. So the devotees are always residing in the Lord's heart. he has given his heart to them. And therefore, Krishna is very protective of them. Is very protective of them. And that's why we have to be very careful, very, very careful around devotees. I was hearing this very beautiful pastime of Kuresh. Kuresh was the disciple of Ramanujacharya. And one time there was a Shaivite king who was a Shaivite, very, very fanatic Shaivite. And Kuresh's disciple, who you could say is the grand disciple of Ramanujacharya, his mind becomes twisted, like it happens due to bad association. His mind becomes sidetracked, distracted. It goes the other way. And so he goes and he joins with this king. He becomes a Shaivite and he becomes an attendant of this king. And Kuresh's disciple tells this king that, why don't you get rid of Ramanujacharya? Because Ramanujacharya was so powerful, he was changing the whole of India. And this is actually a historical fact. The Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya were such great sages that during their time, they had literally wiped out impersonalism from India. And the other impersonalists, they would literally cross the street when they would see them because they were so powerful. And so he told them, you just get rid of Ramanujacharya. He was a king, he had an army, he could easily do that. So the king thinks it's a very good idea. And so he sends his soldiers to capture Ramanujacharya and kill him, or bring him to his court and then kill him. And news of this gets to Kuresh. Kuresh gets air of this, that wind of this, that his disciple is planning this and the king is planning this. So Kuresh goes to Ramanujacharya and he tells Ramanujacharya, you give me your clothes and I'll give you my clothes. We switch and you please go to the forest because they're coming out to search for you. So Ramanujacharya gives his sannyas clothing to Kuresh. Kuresh gives his white grahastha clothing to Ramanujacharya, and Ramanujacharya escapes to the forest. And Kuresh stays back, acting like Ramanuja. So when the soldiers come, they capture Kuresh, thinking that he's Ramanuja, and they take him to the king. And there, when Kuresh is at the king's assembly, Kuresh is not feeling even the slightest fear. In fact, he's feeling very ecstatic within his heart because he's thinking that today I get to serve my spiritual master and perhaps sacrifice my life for him. So when he's there, rather than being fearful of the king, Kuresh, he really starts giving it to the king. He says, you Shaivites, you're such nonsense. You're just you are in the mode of ignorance. And the king is shocked that, you would think he's coming here he's brought him. Kuresh knows this, who he's thinking is Ramanujacharya, knows that he's in front of the king who can punish him and kill him. He should be shaking in front of him, but he is, on the other side, chastising the king, criticizing the king. And so the king is so offended by hearing this. He says, pull out the eyes of this Ramanuja. And this is a good punishment for him. Pull out his eyes and put him in prison. Blind him. And Kuresh tells them, he says, you don't need to pull out my eyes. I will not let you do that. I will pull out my own eyes. And so he takes his hands and he pulls on the sockets of his eyes and he pulls his eyes out. And in this way, Kuresh loses his eyesight. And then he's put into prison. And after some time, he's released from the prison. And then Kuresh goes back to Ramanujacharya. When he goes back to Ramanujacharya, then Ramanuja sees that his disciple Kuresh has lost his eyesight. He has no eyes. And so Ramanuja tells him, he says, you go to Varadaraj. It is my instruction to you that you go to Varadaraj and you ask him to give your eyesight back. And so Kuresh says, but what is the need? I'm happy. I don't want to ask the Lord for this. And Ramanujacharya says, no, I'm telling you, go to Varadaraj and he will give your eyesight back. You go and ask him. Because Ramanujacharya was feeling so bad that for him, his disciple went through so much suffering. And he knew that if he asked, Varadaraj would give his eyesight back. So Quresh goes to Varadaraj and he asks him, and he's there. But Quresh is unable to ask the Lord. He's saying, this is so material. Why should I ask anything for myself? And then Quresh says that he tells Varadaraj, he says, if you are pleased with me, then kindly allow me to see you, that I can see you, Lord Varadaraj. So he doesn't ask for his eyesight, but he just says that, let me see you. And Varadaraj then shows himself to Quresh. Within his heart and mind, Quresh can see the Lord. Quresh, feeling joyful, he goes back to Ramanujacharya. And Ramanujacharya sees that he's still blind. And he says, why did you not ask the Lord for your eyesight? I told you to ask. And he says, no, what I asked, I did. I asked the Lord that may I be able to see him. And now I can always see Lord Varadaraj within my heart. This is the natural result, right, of serving the spiritual master in this way. He was blessed by the Lord. And then Ramanujacharya, he says, no, you go back. And now this time you ask the Lord. It is my order. I'll be very angry if you don't. You ask the Lord for your eyesight. So Quresh goes back to Lord Varadaraj. And again, in front of the Lord, he cannot ask anything from him. And so he tells the Lord, he says, my dear Lord, please allow me to see your devotees. Let me allow me to see your devotees so that by seeing your devotees, my life will be successful. Right now I can see you, but I cannot see your devotees. And so Lord Varadaraj, he then, it's said that he restores Quresh's partial eyesight. He restores his eyesight partially. And he restores it in such a way that after that, Quresh is only able to see Lord Varadaraj and his devotees. That's all he can see. Because that's all he wanted to see. He didn't want to see anything else. And so at this point, Quresh goes back to Ramanujacharya, and Ramanujacharya understands that his eyesight has been restored partially by the Lord, and he's able to see Lord Varadaraj and his devotees. And then Quresh resides there in the ashram with the devotees. And there, then he is leading his life. And at times, Quresh, he is thinking that I must have been so offensive. This is why I lost my eyesight. When other devotees come and talk to him and they're talking, then he tells them, I was very offensive. And what offense must I have committed to the devotees? He says, the offense perhaps that I may have committed is that when the devotees were walking to the temple, I think I saw their forehead and I saw that their tilak was crooked rather than it was straight. And therefore I had to undergo this pain of losing my eyesight. Imagine, this is Quresh, this is the great devotee of the Lord. Obviously, he didn't do anything. Obviously, there is no offense. But he was thinking that the Lord must have become mispleased because I was criticized, I was finding fault with the devotees, with their the straightness of their tilak. So this is how careful a devotee is in relating with other devotees. They're so sensitive, they're so careful in that way. And how, again, another thing that relates with this verse is how Quresh, he wanted to see the devotees of the Lord. We are sometimes not eager enough to see devotees. We think I'm fine at home, or I can just connect with them via Zoom. But Zoom is nice. Zoom, we're hearing them. But there is something very special, something irreplaceable about the physical presence of the devotee. The purification that we get by being in their shadow, by being seen by them. We are seeing them, but it is more powerful when we are seen by them. And here, Parikshit Maharaj, for him, Shukadeva Goswami is everything. He's about to die in 7 days. And he knows that Shukadeva Goswami is his only hope. He is his only hope. And therefore, he's so eager. He doesn't drink a drop of water. He does not eat anything for 7 days and 7 nights. With rapt attention, he is hearing Shukadeva Goswami. But we think our life is eternal. And that's why when a great devotee comes, we don't listen, we don't hear from them. We are so distracted. Rather than just focusing on that great opportunity, by focusing on hearing from them, we should fight for their association. One devotee actually told me this, that if you want to serve your spiritual master, you will have to fight for his direct service. And that's one thing it's okay to fight for. We must be eager to wash their clothes, to iron their clothes, to cook for them, to serve them, to clean their room. Some of the greatest devotees in our movement were devotees who had the chance to clean Prabhupada's room, to serve him in so many different ways. And from that, they got his mercy, like Narad Muni got the mercy of these great sages, just by eating the remnants. There's 2 things that are very powerful, Prabhupada says, that are medicine, very powerful in our spiritual advancement. 2 substances. One is the remnants of the devotee's foodstuffs, and the second thing is the dust from the feet of the devotee. These 2 things are the most powerful items that we can possess. And if we have this, then we become so liberated. And so in this purport last point here, it's being described how, the village women and boys, they thought that Shukadeva Goswami was like, a character. He's walking naked and the children are making fun of him. And they can't recognize that he's a great devotee of the Lord. And then all of a sudden they see Vyasadeva and Narad Muni and all these great sages coming and offering their obeisances to the same person. And then Prabhupada said they're struck with wonder and fear. Oh my gosh, we didn't know who this person is. We were like making fun of him. And now he's being worshipped by all these sages who look like sages. So another great point is that externally, sometimes devotees don't look like great devotees. And we don't recognize how great they are. And it's the other devotees who show us that, oh no, this is a great devotee of the Lord, or who remind us of the greatness of a devotee. So another final point is that a devotee cannot be judged externally. We have to see them, we have to understand them by their spiritual knowledge, by their service to the Lord, by their devotion for the Lord. And so we should not think that this devotee is a man or a woman or a young person or an old person, or this devotee doesn't look so impressive. Externally, we can never know a devotee. We can never make that mistake. We should never, take devotees for granted. That, oh, this person, this devotee, they are eccentric or this or that. In the Ramayana, there's one section where, what's her name? Who had the, it starts with an S. She was holding the fruits. She was keeping the fruits for Lord Ram and eating half of them. And
Sabari.
Shabari? Shabari,
Yeah.
yes. So she would every day, she would put a path of flowers for Lord Ram's arrival, because her Gurudev had said that you stay in this ashram and you serve here, and one day Lord Ram will come and visit you. He had told her this before he departed from the world. So she had 100% faith in the words of her spiritual master. And so she said that if my spiritual master said that Lord Ram is going to come, then that means Lord Ram is going to come. So very much like in the mood of the gopis, the gopis did the same thing. She said that he can come any day. And that's why every single day she would make a very long path of flowers in front of her hermitage, because Lord Ram may come today. And she would make a path for her. And then if anyone else came on that path, she would be standing there. She would say, no, don't walk on these flowers, because these flowers are for Lord Ram. And this would cause some, you could say, disturbance for the sages who are walking by. Then they have to go off the path. But being very respectful, being sages themselves and being respectful to Lord Ram, and knowing that Lord Ram was on the planet, they would go the other way, they would respect that. But she would kind of shoo everyone away, that don't walk on these flowers. And then every day she would go and pick the bare fruit and then eat half of it and leave it, because she wanted all the sweet fruits. So one sage, when being shooed away from her, a younger sage, he told this older sage that this Shabari seems a bit mad. She seems a bit mad. She's a bit, how can anyone believe that one day Lord Ram is going to come and every day she takes these flowers and picks them and puts them there? She seems a bit mad. And the other older sage, he responds, he says that there's very little difference. Sometimes there's very little difference between madness and bhakti, madness and devotion. It's very hard to differentiate between the two. And so therefore, don't mistake her madness for madness. Her madness is her devotion for the Lord. So sometimes the devotees also, they look a little crazy, like they're like, their mature life is not together, and they're maybe, I don't know, traveling around in a broken van. But we have to understand that their life is glorious because they have made Krishna the center of their life. Govinda Prabhu says a very nice sentence. He says that being a failure in spiritual life is better than being a success in mature life. And so the materialist who really has his life together, and they're driving a Mercedes, and they have a nice house, they have social security, they have a nice, retirement, they're all planned. They sometimes feel, look, my life is better than these poor devotees who are struggling. But actually, this is not true. Shukadeva Goswami was walking naked. He seemed like a madman. The women and children thought, this man is mad. He's a naked, crazy man. But the pure devotees, they can recognize a pure devotee. It takes a pure devotee to recognize a pure devotee. They could understand, no, Shukadeva Goswami is actually the greatest sage. So the point being, let us also not make the mistake that these women and children were making. We must depend upon, we must be careful and not see a devotee from the external point of view. Okay, so I will stop here. If there's any comments or questions, please feel free. Okay, so if there's no comments or questions, we can stop here. It's actually
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sridhar, please accept my humble obeisances. All Guru Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Wonderful class. A lot of takeaways from this. I personally want to share one thing which I made a mistake, and I don't feel shy in admitting it. Once in a home program in our house, I missed to give envelope to the to a pure devotee who visited me, and I totally forgot about that. After 2 weeks, some other devotee called and said, did you give that because that devotee is searching for that envelope? I accidentally missed in a house, and it was totally my mistake. I really felt bad that how much anxiety that I have created to that pure devotee because of my negligence or attachment or whatever that is. And I felt very bad about that. And and then Krishna gave me an opportunity. On the same day, there was another home program in some other house. I was in a different place. I couldn't go. I requested my wife to give a check and give it to that person. Sometimes due to our limited shortcomings, like us, we tend to miss, or we tend to do these sort of actions in pure devotees, and they're so merciful. that, and the orchestration by Krishna is also so nice that there's some arrangement that we learn, and we have an opportunity to correct from those. Pure devotees are definitely a ocean of mercy. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for that nice comment. It's something very practical that you reminded us that, yes, very nice point. Thank you for that nice comment.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept
Hare
my
Krishna.
obeisances. All goes to Shri Prabhupada.
Please accept my
Thank you for such a, it's always so nice to hear your classes. So many takeaways, as Sachitana Prabhu said. One thing that you mentioned, that when the devotees, pure devotees come, we should be eager to take their association. So, sometimes I find it that we also have a lot of services. So there is a service side that needs to be taken care of. And at the same time, we want to take the association of the pure devotees, because as you said, it is so rare. So, when you're in that, like what should be the priority? Because we want to do both. And, time is of the essence. So yeah, if you can kind of point something out for that. And then I have another second question, which I guess I can wait after you. So say something about this.
Yes, this is always a quandary. Is serving the devotee better, or is hearing from them better? Right. So I think that's where your question is. It's like when Srila Prabhupada visited New Vrindavan, then all the devotees were wanting his association. And so they were all sitting in the class and attending his class and hearing it. And after the class, there was going to be prasadam. So someone had to cook the prasadam. So Shama Sundar Prabhu, he was in the kitchen cooking the prasad for all the devotees. And he made a wonderful feast, and all the devotees took the feast after Srila Prabhupada's lecture. And later on, Shama Sundar Prabhu became one of Srila Prabhupada's personal servants. And when I heard this, some devotee was telling this in the context of how he had, so that other devotees could hear from Srila Prabhupada, he had sacrificed his own time with Srila Prabhupada. And they felt that Krishna had noticed that. And then therefore he got the personal service of Srila Prabhupada. So if we make a sacrifice so that other devotees can hear and associate with a pure devotee, then that is association with a pure devotee. But the key thing here is our eagerness. The general problem that is that even if we have the opportunity, we don't take the opportunity to hear from the devotee, and that is a problem. In other words, if we are off doing some other service, like when Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, then he was giving class, and some devotees went on Vrindavan parikrama, and when they came back, Prabhupada told them that this was the wrong consciousness. He said, "I am speaking, and you are going on parikrama. What do you think? What do you think you'll see in Vrindavan without the Guru's mercy?" So that is an example where they were doing service. That is, they're doing service to the Dham by doing parikrama, but that service was a lack of advancement. They did not understand that the devotee is more merciful than Gangara Parashahoy, is more merciful than the holy place. And our first duty is to listen and serve and associate with the pure devotee. So it depends what service it is. And if it's a service for a devotee, or it's a service, for example, someone has to make the offering to the deities, because this is what Prabhupada and the pure devotees has told us. So one person has to stay back, then Krishna will understand. On the other hand, if we are just engaged, and this is also a problem, in just cooking for even the devotees and the pure devotee, but we're not eager to hear from them, that can also be a problem. Because because we also have to be eager to hear sometimes. Like we should make an arrangement with other devotees that we can take turns, because we also need that nourishment. There's one section in the Bible where there's Martha and Mary. I may have gotten the words, the names wrong, but Jesus is there and Martha is there cooking. And Mary, she comes to hear from Jesus. There's these two ladies. And then Jesus says that of the two, Mary is more advanced because she has come to hear. And Martha, she's off busy cooking. She's not eager to hear. Now, I don't know what the details of that is. I'm not sure, was she cooking for Jesus or was she cooking for something else? But she was too much involved in doing other things, not realizing the opportunity at hand. So that's the point, that we have to make that balance also. That okay, it's a great opportunity to hear from a devotee. I need to also find time to hear. I need to do both.
Yeah, thank you. That helps a lot for me. And my second question was, just how you said when the pure devotees come, we should be happy welcoming them. How Prabhupada, when he came, the whole, everybody went to receive him. So when they leave, also that is also considered auspicious. Is that I've heard that. I'm not very clear on that. So also when they leave the place, even though they're leaving, there will be separation from them. But even that is, I've heard, is considered auspicious. So can you share some points or words on that?
Yes. Well, it's another opportunity to glorify the devotees. So when the devotee arrives or when they depart, we take that opportunity to glorify them. Just like if a great king comes or someone very famous comes, people receive him, and when he leaves and they go to the airport to depart him, it's a way of showing respect. It's a way of offering service. For devotees, it's a time of separation. So like if you have a very loved one, it's natural, right? If you have a very loved one and they're going abroad, then we always go to the airport to see them off because we love them. So the same thing, if we're loving the devotees, they're the most dearest persons, then we see them off. So yeah, so that's another way to do that. Now, of course, I should say that, not everyone, Prabhupada is Satyavesha avatar. He is someone very special. So we cannot imitate those times. I mean, Prabhupada was someone exceptionally very, very, powerful, and so we may have, to be practical in terms of the logistics of everything and the contemporary times and all those things. It's just that, we have an opportunity there to glorify the devotee.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances.
Krishna Mataji.
All glories to
Please
Srila
accept my
Prabhupada.
humble obeisances.
I was very struck by the story of Ramanujacharya and Quresh, and even that the slightest offense of thinking about the tilaka of the devotee being not so perfect, he thinks I deserve to lose my vision for that. It's so very heavy. The Vaishnava offense. I mean, what, we don't take it so seriously, those things, like King Parishit thinks now some great misfortune is definitely going to happen and he is almost feeling it. But when we commit this kind of mental offenses or whatever, we think it's okay. I mean, Krishna will forgive, or we say Vancha Kalpatarupyacha, and that's it. Can you just, how to
Yes, partly Quresh is saying this out of his feelings of immense humility, because he is a pure devotee of the Lord. His feeling of smallness, that he's so so insignificant, and he must have committed some offense. He's saying this out of his immense humility, also showing us the example in general that a great devotee is one who thinks that they're very small. A small devotee, generally wants great respect, and they get very offended if they're not respected. But a great devotee, is the opposite consciousness. So he's saying that out of his humility. At the same time, we also cannot be too, sometimes devotees can also be too fearful of Vaishnava Aparadh, which may not be necessary to be so fearful, because Prabhupada has said, in different places it said that a real offense happens when it's motivated by envy, when it's motivated by greed, when it's motivated by pride. So we may, see a devotee's tilak and maybe even remind them that they forgot to put tilak on, or the tilak is not put on properly. And if it's not done out of envy or pride or anger, but just as an innocent remark, then it doesn't mean that we'll get that offense, because the motivation is in the right place. Many times devotees even have to chastise other devotees, people who are in senior positions or management positions. They even have to correct other devotees. But the offense comes if they're doing that out of envy or anger, out of ill feeling, or are they doing it out of love to help the person, like a parent is doing it out of love for a child? And that is actually a service, right? If they're doing it to help the person in a kind way and to help the person, then it's not an offense. So Quresh is thinking that maybe out of pride, that I'm such a great devotee, I was thinking, all these devotees, they don't even know how to put tilak on. So he's worried about that, not exactly about, just maybe the statement, but what was his thinking? What was his motivation behind it? So I want to also balance it, that we also, with devotees, when we're with them, naturally some exchanges will take place where we are joking or like this. But if we want to err, we should always err on the side of being more cautious, more reserved. Because even though we might have good intentions and we were only joking, if that other devotee takes offense, we will still get the offense. We will still get the reaction. Just like the case of Rupa Goswami and the hunchback Brahmana. I won't repeat that story, but Rupa Goswami was just laughing because he was remembering Krishna's pastimes, and the hunchback Brahmana thought that he was laughing at him, and he became offended, and Rupa Goswami lost his vision of Krishna's pastimes. So in this way, even if we unknowingly offend a devotee, we will still get some reaction.
Thank you, Prabhu, for details on that. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I think we can stop at this point. We're already a little over time. Thank you very much for your very kind attention. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Thank you so much.